Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Once you're clear about your purpose, you will become bold, determined and unwavering. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. To be a human being means to possess a feeling of inferiority, which constantly presses towards its own conquest. The greater the feeling of inferiority that has been experienced, the more powerful is the urge for conquest, and the more violent the emotional agitation. It is better to be a human being dissatisfied than a pig satisfied. Better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a fool satisfied. When one has once fully entered the realm of love, the world, no matter how imperfect, becomes rich and beautiful. It consists solely of opportunities for love. It is the duty of the human understanding to understand that there are things which it cannot understand. When the age for marriage arrives, every man must study whether he can be satisfied with one woman, whether he can be happy with her, whether he is capable of loving her and making her happy in marriage. If anyone on the verge of action should judge himself according to the outcome, he would never begin. Boredom is the root of all evil. A man who, as a physical being, is always turned toward the outside, thinking that his happiness lies outside him, finally turns inward and discovers that the source is within him. Don't forget to love yourself. To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily, and not to dare is to lose oneself. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. The greatest hazard of all, losing oneself, can occur very quietly in the world, as if it were nothing at all. The truth is a trap. You cannot get it without it getting you. You cannot get the truth by capturing it, only by its capturing you. It is quite true what philosophy says, that life must be understood backward, but then one forgets the other principle, that it must be lived forward. If I am capable of grasping God objectively, I do not believe, but precisely because I cannot do this, I must believe. The function of criticism is the education of the critic. The self-assured believer is a greater sinner in the eyes of God than the troubled disbeliever. To cheat oneself out of love is the most terrible deception. It is an eternal loss for which there is no reparation, either in time or in eternity. The more a person limits himself, the more resourceful he becomes. Truth always rests with the minority, and the minority is always stronger than the majority, because the minority is generally formed by those who really have an opinion. To will is to select a goal, determine a course of action that leads to it, and hold to that action till the goal is reached. The key is action. It is so hard to believe because it is so hard to obey. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. People understand me so poorly that they don't even understand my complaint about them not understanding me. There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. Faith is a passionate concern in the ambiguity of freedom, both to submit to fate and to change it. The function of suffering is to awaken the sufferer, to arouse the sufferer, to make the sufferer more human. Faith is the highest passion in a human being. Many in every generation may not come that far, but none comes further